Post-it notes stuck to me. Oh, okay, so this is the Lunch and Learn for Friday, and I'm talking about burnout, of course. Would you know the signs of burnout if it was happening to you? I didn't. Before I begin, though, I just want to be saying well done to all of you that have done the Frazzle to Fantastic challenge this week. If you're watching this live, just hashtag live. If it's a replay, hashtag replay, as per usual. Yeah, I mean, it's just been amazing to see so many people come through the challenge with me this week. Every single day I've given you something to do and you've done it. So well done, and hopefully you'll start to reap the rewards of the work that you've done this week. So well done, big celebration to you. Those of you that haven't done the Frazzle to Fantastic challenge, you still can. There is a link which I will share where you can go and catch up on my website, and it will take you to each session and each what's it called, each PDF that you download and do. Very, very simple. It doesn't take much, and I'd love to get some feedback from those of you that did the Frazzle to Fantastic challenge and let me know how you got on. How did you find it? What results are you getting? Let's get back to today though. So we're talking about burnout. How would you know if you were burnout? How would you know if you were burnout? Were burning out? I'm a bit cold actually, so I'm not really speaking. I'm not making much sense. How would you know if you were burning out? I didn't know I was burning out. I had no inkling really. The issue with chronic stress is there isn't a huge amount of signs and symptoms as opposed to acute stress. When we have acute stress, we have sweaty palms, our heart is racing. We really feel it. Whereas with chronic stress, we get very used to it. It becomes quite normal. It becomes a really regular part of our life. And you know, you may have heard me say this many times before, but it's normalised in our society. We are meant to be busy, meant to be working a huge amount, and it's all normalised. I was talking to somebody yesterday who was a lawyer and saying that in the past, in his law firm that he was working in London, it was very normal to keep working until 5 a.m. until the work was done. And that culture is part of our life. So it's just becomes normal. Chronic stress becomes normal. But of course it isn't. So we overlook all of the impact that this chronic stress has on our mental health and our physical health. And if everyone else is experiencing it too, then yeah, it just becomes normal. So that's the reason why chronic stress doesn't get picked up by individuals. Yeah, there's a real sort of misunderstanding, I think, around what chronic stress even is, and if it exists. Is it real? Is it a real thing, or are we making it up? But I can promise you very much that it is a very real thing caused by a problem which isn't going away. So it could be financial difficulties, it could be relationship difficulties, problems with your job. So if that stressor isn't going away, it's very likely that you are experiencing chronic stress. So I probably ought to tell you what the signs are so that you would know if you have it. The physical signs, so things like fatigue, waking up in the morning and feeling like, oh God, I'm just as exhausted this morning as I was when I went to bed last night. That's something that I can really relate to, or used to really relate to. Headaches, these are the physical signs. Digestive problems, so if you've got a funny tummy and you don't quite know why. Increased infections, are you getting ill regularly? How's your blood pressure? When's the last time you took your blood pressure? Is your blood pressure high? Lots of people with stress also experience chest pain that they can't put down to anything else. Sleep problems. My one was I used to wake up incredibly early. Some people wake up in the middle of the night. Some people can't get to sleep at all. These are all signs of chronic stress. So that's the physical signs. And then your emotional signs are things like having a really short fuse, so getting really snappy with people that you love, getting irritable, feeling depressed, anxiety, so anxiousness all of the time, and feeling helpless, feeling, completely overwhelmed, like I'm never going to be able to get out of this, that hopeless doom and gloom space that you occupy, more often than not would be a sign of chronic stress. And then you've got your cognitive symptoms, so memory is impaired, not being able, forgetting things, not being able to remember things that people have told you, not being able to concentrate for long periods of time at all, getting easily distracted, jumping from one thing to the next thing, racing thoughts. And some of these are obviously symptoms of ADHD too. So those of you that are in my group who have ADHD will say, oh, that's quite normal for me. But if it isn't normal for you, that could be a sign of chronic stress. And then the behavioural symptoms that come along with that. So that's how we deal with probably the emotional issues. So it might be that we decide to have one more glass of wine than normal, or maybe we're drinking more than we really should be of an evening. And it's very easy to tell ourselves, oh, well, this is, to calm myself down. But it's not a great idea to be using those things to calm ourselves down when we have some great ways of calming ourselves down that are good for us. Things like overeating or undereating, and neglecting responsibility. So just kind of pushing things away under the carpet and not dealing with them so they get bigger and bigger. So those are the signs of chronic stress. And then I did say that I would talk about the 3 steps to overcome stress. So you don't have to burn out. You don't have to go down that route. You can pull it back. I promise you can pull it back. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is the beginnings of my restore method. So my restore method is RESTORE, and I'm going to talk about the R and the E today. So there are 2 parts to R, which is why it's a 3-step method. So reboot and reset are the 2 parts to R. So the reboot is where we soothe our nervous system. So like I said, when we're in chronic stress, it's really easy to know that you're in chronic stress because when you're in acute stress, it's really easy to know because the heart's beating, you've got sweaty palms. We know we need to do something. And so when we use our breath, we can basically take control of our body. So it's really easy to think, all these things are happening to me and I don't have any control. But of course you do. And one of the best things that I ever learned is the ability to be able to control my nervous system. So if I'm in fight or flight, my heart's beating, my body is getting ready to run or to hide, then I can turn that around by using breath. There's many different ways to do it, but I'm going to talk about breath today because it is the easiest. It doesn't feel like you've got a job to do. So when I've talked about tapping before, I've done that this week in the Frazzled to Fantastic. Some people said to me, oh my God, it just feels like another job to do. Well, we don't want to feel like we've got another job to do when we're in acute stress. So breath is a great way of switching on the parasympathetic nervous system. It's a bit like switching on a button and going, oh, okay, we've got an overload going on. I'm going to switch this button. We do it by breath, a big, deep breath, filling our lungs to capacity, which most of us don't do in everyday life, but we do need to, because when air hits the bottom of our lungs, that's where the switch is. And that's where we switch on the parasympathetic nervous system, and we will see the heart rate decrease. We will see breathing become normal. We will see our blood pressure go down. These are all happening just from taking a deep breath. Don't just take one though, take at least 3. And if you want to, try my box breathing, which is in for 4. I'm drawing a box. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold out for 4. And then you repeat that. You will feel relaxed and calm in not very long at all. So that is how we reboot. Increasing oxygen, of course, to our brains as well, which means that our brains function far better, less forgetfulness, less irritability. Just trying it now. So that's reboot, and then reset is step 2 of the 3-step process. And reset is where we, from this moment on, make a decision to do 3 things every single day that is for our self-care. These are the non-negotiables. So non-negotiables can be anything from drinking enough water, getting outside, exercising. You decide. It's completely up to you, but choose 3 things that are achievable. That's the other thing. Don't make it a massive thing that's going to take an hour and a half, because you won't do it. Something that's really simple, really easy that you do throughout the day, like drinking water, or something that just takes 5 minutes. 5 to 20 minutes to do. So it might be meditating, relaxation, a bit of yoga. You decide. So that's step 2, is your reset. Make a decision. 3 things I'm going to do every single day. And the best thing to do when you've decided your 3 things is to find an accountability partner. And your accountability partner must be someone who's going to stretch you, who's going to question you, not someone who's just going to say, oh, well, never mind, you didn't do it. Never mind, you can start again. How about asking the question, why didn't you do it? What got in the way? How can you do it tomorrow so that you can, or what can you put in place tomorrow so that you make sure that you do those things? Accountability partners are everything. And then finally, of the 3 steps is elevate. So I talk about mini lifters and big lifters. So mini lifters are things that you can do within 5 minutes. And usually you're looking for things that give you a dopamine hit. Good things, healthy things that give you a dopamine hit. So things like, for me, it's picking up my guitar and doing some guitar practice. It might be listening to a song. There's loads of research around how music increases dopamine. And dopamine is a really important neurotransmitter that we want to flood our brains with. Again, if you have ADHD, dopamine is difficult to get hold of because dopamine receptors are affected in ADHD. So we have to do more stuff to create those dopamine hits. Nice, healthy stuff. Dancing around, aerobic exercise increases dopamine. So any physical activity, but it has to be something that you really enjoy. So it's no good me saying, do this, do this, do this. You decide what you love to do and make sure that you've got those mini lifters. The idea of elevate is exactly that. We want to lift our mood, and we can take control, just as we can take control of our nervous system by doing deep breathing. We can take control of our mood by changing state. So wherever we are right now, however we're feeling, we can get up and we can move somewhere else physically, but we can also do that emotionally in our body as well, by the way that we use these lifters. So mini lifters are things that you can do right now. So like right now, I could get up, take a 5-minute break and go and play my guitar and then come back again. And finally is the big lifters. Now, the big lifters are things that you might want to get in your calendar, or I say you might, I want you to get in your calendar. So those are the things that we really look forward to. So a holiday would be a big lifter, but obviously that's a huge lifter. But it might be something like, for me, sea swimming. It's a big lifter. It's not a mini lifter because unfortunately the sea's not right outside. I'm working on it. The sea's not right outside yet. So it means I've got to get in the car, I've got to get my swimming stuff, and I've got to go and drive down to the sea. So that's more of a big lifter. I'm not going to get that done in 5 minutes in a 5-minute break. I can get it done in about 45, but it's not a 5. So your big lifters are things that you need to get in your calendar right now So at the weekend, what big lifters could you do? And again, it's personal. Some people hate the sea, but they love the mountains. Some people, it's being in the woodland. For some, it's gathering people together around a table and having a lovely meal. You know, it's so different for different people. For other people, that family meal or that meal would actually be quite stressful. It would take energy. So have a think about what your big lifters are. So in what's it called? To recap, let's recap. Reboot, first thing. So that's where you're soothing your nervous system. And my first go-to is breath, filling your lungs with as much breath as you possibly can to switch on that parasympathetic nervous system, which causes you to relax and calm down instantly. Reboot. Then reset. The three non-negotiables that you are going to do from today going forward. 3 non-negotiables that are good for you, that are about your self-care, that you'll do daily and you will get accountable to somebody. And finally, elevating. So making sure that you have things in your calendar that are going to elevate you, your big lifters, to get those in. Me and my husband have just decided to take every first Wednesday of the month off to go and have a big lifter, to go and do some stuff and go and have some adventures. You can do that when you're self-employed. If you're self-employed, do it. If you run your own business, do it. I speak to so many clients who are self-employed, running their own businesses, and they're working harder than they ever did when they were in a job. What's that about? What's that reel that is running around in our subconscious that's making us work harder than ever before? We can work hard, of course, but make sure you've got those big lifters in. And the mini lifters, what are you going to do right now? What could you do right now? Do you know off the top of your head what you'd be able to do if I said to you, you've got 5 minutes, go and do something. Go and do a mini lifter. If you can do that right now, do it and then come back to me. So those are the 3 things. Now, finally, and the last thing that I want to say is, particularly for those that have been through Frazzled to Fantastic, well bloody done for doing all that you've done. If you haven't done Frazzled to Fantastic yet, it's not too late. I'm going to put the link in and you can do that. But I do want to let you know how you can continue to work with me after Frazzled to Fantastic. So I've got 2 ways. I've got 3 ways, but I'm just going to talk about 2. There's a little secret. Wise Woman is my membership group, and my membership group meets every other week on a Wednesday at 7:30 UK time. And we are a beautiful lot of women who are connected, and it's so important that we connect, isn't it? Particularly with other women. And I support you to create the life that you want, to reduce the stress. I mean, that's what I'm all about, is reducing chronic stress, taking away your risk of burnout, but in doing that, actually getting you to create the life that you want. I've been running since October in the membership. So what I'm doing this year is, with the membership, we're meeting every other week live. I will do a workshop on various things. So far we've done Design Your Life, we've done forgiveness and release. This is off the top of my head and I'm not going to remember. And many other things. You have access to all of those videos when you join, so you can do them at your own pace, and worksheets and everything else. The idea is it's all about replenishing you and gaining energy for you and supporting you in a group. And it's a lot of fun. So we do that. That's the membership. There's loads more coming with that as well. So bi-weekly live group coaching. We do accountability check-ins as well. So if you've got your non-negotiables, you've got people to check in with to make sure that you're doing it. This stuff's easy to do, but it's harder to do on your own, no doubt about it. I get accountability from the group too. And I usually pick a theme and we go with it. So that is my Wise Woman membership. So if you're interested in that, put WW in the comments and I will talk to you about it. We also do guided meditations in there. There's all sorts, and I've got some guest speakers, some amazing guest speakers who are going to come in and talk as well. So that's my wise woman. And then the second thing that I just want to let you know about is my Juggling Happy course. So I've been running my Juggling Happy course for a while, but I have given it a really good makeover recently to bring in my Restore method much more clearly in the way that I deliver it. Now, Juggling Happy is a 12-week program. It is on a Friday and it starts on the 10th of March. It's a group program. So again, you'll be working with different individuals, different business owners, from various different spaces and leaders as well. And we will go through the whole Restore method process, but in a lot more detail. So you will very clearly get your non-negotiable habits in place. You will have your own stress aid kit that you can use at any time that we'll pull together. You will learn how to elevate. You will also, the big work is always in the stories. What are the stories that we're telling ourselves? And actually, most importantly, what is it that's going on in the subconscious that is causing you to work so bloody hard all the time to the point where you're burning out? What is the driver? There is always one. Just worked with a gentleman not long ago who was getting up in the middle of the night to do work so that his family didn't know. And we worked on what is going on behind the scenes there. Why are we working so blooming hard? And it was an amazing story that we pulled out. So we do look at the inner child. Why is the inner child scared? What's going on? And how do we remove those limiting beliefs? So that story aspect of Juggling Happy is massive, as it is in my one-to-one work as well. Then we go on to looking at time. So we do a proper time audit. When I ask people, how do you spend your time? Most of the time they say to me, well, I do this, 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 and this. And they're very clear about it. Then when we do the time audit, we realise how much time is often being wasted. That's their term, not mine. But in being wasted in places that they perhaps don't want to be using their time, whether that's scrolling on Instagram or, whatever. So a proper time audit, there's no escaping it. We look at it, and then I also give many hacks into productivity. Now, obviously, I've got a neurospicy brain. I have had to use many different productivity tools to get me through running businesses over the years, and I've got lots of them, and I share them. And that part of that, this Juggling Happy is valuable in itself. Then we look at openness. So we actually look at self-compassion and the 3 elements of self-compassion. We get really clear about using that best friend method, which is the method that we've been using in the session today in Frazzled to Fantastic. So you'll start to see that people are posting, if you're not doing Frazzled to Fantastic, you'll start to see that people are posting these beautiful words that they're saying to themselves, which comes from this best friend approach. Then we look at red flags. Knowing your red flags is everything. I didn't know my red flags. I didn't know I was about to burn out. And my burnout cost me so much in terms of my mental health. So red flags are everything. Knowing where in your body you hold stress. What are the red flags? How are you behaving when you're stressed? And knowing that you can put your reset method in way before we're at burnout stage. So red flags, it's really understanding yourself. This is life-changing, this stuff, because you will never get yourself into that place of risk again. And then finally, it's energy management. So it's a bit like coins. So I would imagine you've got a bag of coins in the morning, right? You've got so many coins to spend. And during the day, those things that we do expend some of those coins. So it might be, for you, it might be going to a business meeting or meeting a client or spending time putting a project together that costs you so many coins. And then there may be things that you get coins from. So for me, going for a sea swim gives me a whole heap of coins that I can put in my bag. But what often happens is that we're spending way more coins than we have, to the point where we're borrowing coins from tomorrow. So then when we wake up tomorrow, our bag of coins is far less. So I think that that's a really good way of looking at energy. So we do this, again, a bit like the time audit. We do a bit of an energy audit to look at what expends your energy and what replenishes it. It's different for everyone, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. So we'll know that introverts will expend so much energy by being around people, whereas extroverts will be able to pull their coins into their bag from being around people. So we need to make sure that we are running our businesses and working and being in life in a way that suits us. So that is Juggling Happy, and it starts on the 10th of August. I'm just looking at my calendar just to make sure that that's right. It's on a Friday morning, UK time, 8:30 to 9:30. So unfortunately, it doesn't fit if you're in America, but if you're in Australia, it does, which is great. And obviously it does if you're in the UK, if you like early mornings. I've tried Juggling Happy in the evenings and it doesn't work. You need to be fresh and ready to do the work. So if you're interested in Juggling Happy, then stick a JH in the comments. So if you're interested, and here's the biggie. For anybody who's in my group who signs up for Juggling Happy, then you also get 3 months of the Wise Woman membership as part of that. So, woo! Never done that before. So that's exciting. Thank you to those that listened. And I'll see you soon. I will be contacting you to get some feedback on the Frazzle to Fantastic if you did it. So I'd love to know how you got on. And I'm always here. Send me a direct message if you want to chat to me. Bye. Have a great weekend.